Now, even though I've been doing a lot of simulator stuff on my channel lately, that does not mean that Wi-Fi battles have lost their charm to me at all. In fact, we got one today. Look at the screen. We got this stuff. We got the sun versus the rain. It's pretty cool. So it's against a guy by the name of Youallgood, and this team actually really craves fighting against rain because I got the 2 grass types, and I have the Kingdra. In case you guys haven't seen this team, or if you do remember this team, you know why the fuck I like using this team against rain. Of worthy mention, I played this team against a guy with the rain team at PAX, and I ended up counter sweeping him with said Kingdra 5-0. That was a funny story. I really wish I still had that match saved, but my camera ran out of battery, so I didn't get to record it. It's still a nice little niche in my belt, if you know what I'm saying. So let's get into the match because it's fucking starting stuff. So he sets up a sub, I guess expecting me to want to switch out to something. I don't know. I let off with Sawsbuck because I thought it was going to lead off with Politoed. I know it really doesn't like taking a Life Orb Horn Leech from an Adamant Sawsbuck, max attack, that kind of shit. So that's what we got. He sees that I'm just going to keep attacking, decides to go out into Scizor, who quad resists it, takes it fairly nicely. I cannot do anything to Scizor, so I'm just going to end up switching out. This is kind of a bad spot for me because in every scenario he's just going to end up U-turning and going out into Politoed. I figure the best thing I have to take it would probably end up being Donphan, but I do want to go into Ninetales just to coax out the Politoed so I can do stuff to it sooner. This is a little bit of an unnecessary hit, and as much as I would have liked to have burned it, you know, by coming in on the last turn with Scizor or Ninetales, I think you get what I'm trying to say. If I was one step ahead of what he was trying to do, burning it would have been really nice. But instead, I just end up fucking Politoed out, and that's what we got. So Venusaur is going to come in. I thought I would be able to take like a Hydro Pump or a Scald or anything like that. I don't think he was going to go for an Ice Beam. He ends up going for Hypnosis, kind of telling me he's more of a defensive utility variant, if anything, and not a Choice Specs or a Choice Scar variant. But that's useful information to have, but that's not what we got going on right now. We got the Keldeo on the screen, and he told me that he is actually a fully specially offensive and specially defensive set. Not even a positive speed nature, no speed investment whatsoever. I have full speed investment, and that actually means I outspeed him by, I think we discussed after the match that this was 7 points. Now this is actually very weird to see a Venusaur outspeeding a Keldeo without Chlorophyll up, but it kind of works out. I'm not complaining. So the Hydro Pump miss right there really was unfortunate because, as you can see, the second Hydro Pump is actually going to do a pretty considerable amount. That's going to be solid 2-hit KO. I don't know how much I would have gotten back from draining his sub, but I don't think it would have been enough to offset the damage of a second one had he hit both in the first place. So I'm gonna go for a Giga Drain right here. Now this shit really sucked. In like the past 20 battles I've had on my channel, I gotta say this is the worst I've ever hacked out somebody because I don't see specially defensive Keldeo that often, but I guess when I do see it, I freaking crit it. You know, that kind of sucks for him. I end up getting back up to full. That's all I can really say. That just really soured both of the moods because that thing would have given me a little bit of trouble depending on if it was like a sub Calm Mind variant or something like that. But I guess we won't know what its 4th move was at this point. We can kind of assume 3 of them, but hey. So Scizor's going to come in. I don't think it's going to Bullet Punch, so I decided to go for a Sleep Powder, put it to sleep. It would have been nice to have maybe the Politoed to sleep for something like that, but you take what you can get sometimes. So decided to go out into my Heatran. He switches out into his Latios, and I think I ended up staying in because I kind of suspected that I could take a Surf if it was like Expert Belted, maybe even a Choice Spec Surf. I don't know. I was kind of calling his bluff right there. It ends up working out as he goes into Landorus, and I think right here I go for the Protect because I don't want to take an Earthquake or an Earth Power. He ends up going for the sub, and while this does seem like a bad situation, it's really not because he doesn't have lefties or anything like that. The toxic damage is actually racking up fairly quickly because he doesn't have lefties. And I just get to go into a grass type, which is my Sawsbuck. I probably wouldn't have liked taking a Focus Blast if he was a special variant, so that was a risk I had to take there. But for some reason, I thought he would just go for the ground type move, and he ended up doing that. Ends up doing some damage to himself with Life Orb, and then we got the Poison racking up. As you can see, he's almost dead, and he's only hit my Sawsbuck with an Earthquake, and he's actually going to switch up moves, decide to go for the Stone Edge on my Donphan. Gets a crit, which out of all the things to crit in the world, like, Donphan really does not care about taking a crit Stone Edge at all. He laughs it off. I mean, you ruined his 30, but he's still at like 80% of his HP, and that threat Landorus is gone. So hey, I'll take that trade-off. But Politoed comes in. I don't really want anything else put to sleep, and I don't really want anything else happening, and I figure, you know what? rocks really aren't going to be too useful at this point in the game. I don't think he has the potential to set up anything with anything else, barring Chansey, and I'm not really going to mind it too much in the first place. So after that thing dies, I'm just like, you know what, that's fine. I'm going to go for Swords Dance on the Switch, because I think that he's going to go into Scizor again, because that's what he did at the beginning of the game, and he doesn't want his Politoed to take any unnecessary damage. So we got that going on. The reason I have a regular background is because if I change the background and it's not default Wi-Fi or indoors background, Nature Power will turn into something else and fuck up the rest of this battle from this point. So stock background, because Nature Power has to turn into Earthquake in order for the replay to progress normally. Otherwise, I think it would turn into some crazy stuff like Tri-Attack or, I don't know, Stun Spore or some silly shit like that. But I got that. I got the Horn Leech, and yeah, Latios comes in. I just realized I don't want anything else to take a surf, so I just decided to leave this thing in his Death Fodder. I could have gone out into Ninetales because it is fully specially defensive, but he could have just gone for a Draco Meteor as well, so I didn't want to risk that. But now that his weather is still up, I get to go into my Kingdra. So I got my Swift Swimmer, his weather. According to Smogon rules, that is perfectly fine, and all of a sudden he has a situation on his hands. And I'm going to go for Dragon Pulse because I thought that would be able to take out a Latios from stock, especially if he's locked into Surf, but as you can see, because he does switch out, he's choiced in some way, is what I'm thinking right now. So the moves we've seen on this Politoed are Hypnosis and Protect. I don't know what else he's running, but I went off to do a damage calc right here on Dragon Pulse and Hidden Power Electric respectively. I decided that they weren't going to do enough damage, but I figured I would try to go for the Surf and see how much it would do, because it is rain boosted, and I don't know if he's physically defensive or specially defensive, that kind of thing. I figured it would hurt something nicely, but he ends up going to Chansey, which he probably should have done in the first place, and his Politoed took a little bit of unnecessary damage. I don't think it's really going to end up mattering too much in the long run, but Chansey is a huge pain in my ass, because I looked down at my bottom screen and I realized that both of my physical attackers are dead. Now, I do have a dude on my team, and by dude I actually mean a chick, because I think it's a female Heatran. But I kind of basically spoiled what poke I had to handle this. But I do have a Magma Storm, Toxicking, Taunting, Protecting Heatran, especially defensive, that kind of thing, that eats Chanseys and anything that tries to stall or anything of that sort for fucking breakfast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to switch in it right now, because my Ninetales has taken a lot of damage that it really doesn't need to, and all I got was a Will-O-Wisp off on it. Especially if it has a natural cure going, then all that was for nothing. But of course it has a natural cure going. It's fucking Chansey. So he decides to go out into his Politoed. Now this was a dangerous turn, because I made the assumption that because of Hypnosis and Protect, he was going to be a more defensive variant, and he was going to have Scald as opposed to Hydro Pump, just to have longevity on his kind of stuff. But I go for a Toxic just to, you know, get it, and it turns out he has Hydro Pump. Now, it's good and kind of bad, I guess. Actually, it's mostly bad. I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's good that I lived. I actually took the hit better, a lot better than I thought I would. But it's good that he's not fully offensive, because at the same time, you know, if he was fully offensive, I never would have switched this thing in the first place. I probably would have gone out to Kingdra straight. But because he was defensive and he did have Hydro Pump, owing to his, you know, lack of offensive investment, he did not kill me. So do you guys get what I'm trying to say there? It kind of makes sense, hopefully. As you can see, Magma Storm isn't doing shit to a Chansey in the rain, but I want it for the trapping effect and nothing else. But I'm going to go for a Taunt right here to prevent him from Wishing, from Heal Belling, from Toxicking, and from other stuff, and he's stuck in here, so we can't do anything. But that hit from Hydro Pump is really going to come back to bite me, because I did not need to take that damage, but I really wasn't expecting it. I can take Scalds way better than Hydro Pumps, just, you know, for very obvious reasons. Right here on this last turn, I did speed this part up because it's very after-turny, but I went for the Magma Storm thinking that he was going to end up going for a Wish, predicting, I don't know, a Switch or some shit like that. But I don't know. It actually made more sense for him to go for the Seismic Toss because I was faster. So I just kind of goofed at that part. But it's nice because he doesn't want to have something else take unnecessary damage, because now that Kingdra's in, I kind of have him in a checkmate position where I can hurt something pretty bad. Chansey was at the range where it would have died to just about anything, and it doesn't have Protect, so he decides to leave it in his Death Fodder. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. I needed that. But decide to fire off a Draco Meteor on the Latios, because I am now faster to it thanks to the Swift Swim, which is very nice. So Chansey's gone. Thank you, Heatran. Godspeed. That was excellent job. He eats shit like that for breakfast, in case I did not mention that. But I believe his last one left is Polytoad. It's going to be an interesting thing to handle because I do still have this, I do still have Kingdra, and I believe I still have my not my Heatran, my Heatran died, my Venusaur. I'm not 100% on that yet, but I can bring this thing in, and I ultimately end up winning the Weather War because you can't switch it out and switch it back in, you know, Onabee's last one, things like that. This is the only status I have going on to help me out with more damage, so I'm just going to go for a Will-O-Wisp. I don't care if this thing dies. In the stream, I jokingly said, watch me live this hit because I'm specially defensive and it's in the sun and he's not fully offensive. And it turns out I do. Died of poison, but it was funny. It was pretty funny to me at the time. So, I ended up dying at the end of the turn. I do still have Kingdra left, which is very nice. Even though he can protect, it won't benefit him at all because as you can see, he's got straight burn damage going because I don't know what his fucking item is. It's not lefties. Whatever. I'm just going to go for Draco Meteor, and I actually think it's going to end the game, and even if it didn't kill him off, he would more than likely end up dying to burn damage just based on how much it did. I did not know how much it would do at the time, but that's a game. That's a standard battle, and then Venusaur could have come in and cleaned up in case I missed any crit or something like that. I don't know what happened to it. Did it die? Did it live? I completely forgot. I get lost in these narrations sometimes. I think I still had it. Whatever. You guys are paying attention. More than likely, like 10 of you guys are going to end up telling me what happened. I don't care. I had a lot of fun with this match because I really like that matchup, and it's pretty challenging. So, if you guys enjoyed it too, you are welcome to leave a like rating, a comment, and a subscription if you so choose, if that happens to be your thing. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I do still have some Wi-Fi battles backed up. It's not a lot from the stream because I just really wasn't doing too hot that stream, but I do still have plenty of showdown replays and stuff like that backed up. So whenever there's not, if I don't have a Wi-Fi battle, what I'm trying to say is I'm just going to upload simulator stuff because I don't mind doing either one. So that's what we got going on for today's video. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.